Often the track would follow rivers because the rivers take the easiest course through the mountains, and so I wanted to represent that to some degree by having a river slightly below the main track and following along the front edge of the layout. And it doesn't have to be the full width of the river, it's an impression that there is a river. And so this river here just follows the front of the layout. It's only about 3 or 4 inches wide and carries on all the way around the front of the layout, you know, almost to where the waterfall will be at the other end. To give a sense of the river actually moving, because the river does move downhill, I created a series of little rapids, and these ones are only about, you know, probably about a half-inch difference in levels. So there were several levels just created by putting rocks at incremental places along the edge, and then pouring casting resin into the area after painting the bottom, and throwing rocks and dirt and so on into the bottom to give it you know, some color and some texture. The casting resin itself that I use is casting resin that, you know, it's the smelly stuff. I don't like Envirotex because it's too flat, and it looks fine for a still pond, but it doesn't work for a river. And so what I've done is I poured in a lot of extra hardener into the mix, and by doing that, it dries very quickly and tends to create ripples. You get actually ripples in the surface that looks like there's a breeze blowing. Then rocks and so on are all put in along the edges, grasses and so on that would normally occur along the edges of the river. After my first pour, I like to see some fish in the water, and so I've actually included fish in various spots along the river, in this case what I would call salmon, and they're just made from plasticine, where I take a tiny pinch of plasticine, roll it with my fingers, and then just pinch the tail, give it a little twist, lay it on the casting resin, create schools of fish, and then continue pouring several layers of casting resin over that. And here we have a scene with a fisherman who's just hooked a fish, and his line is just bending as he's trying to reel in the fish. He's accompanied by his dog, who's barking at the fish in enjoyment, hoping that maybe he'd get a bite. The other thing that I've added in the river is sound. What I've done is I've put in speakers that are buried in the rock along the river front, and use Miller Model's river sound effects. They're little chips that come on a little chipboard. I have 2 different sounds, and then I alternate them along the river. And of course, as you walk along the river, the sound tends to follow you, so you have the ripples and the rush over these little cascading waterfalls that tend to follow you as you go along the river, and they follow you. The other effect that I've created is a thunderstorm. I've got 2 speakers in the ceiling, one at each side of this particular scene, and you can see the speakers there. Dark, stormy clouds that'll be in the background behind the model and just over the top of the mountain that as it gets built. And there's a continuous tape running of a recording of a thunderstorm that I made many years ago, and it plays continuously in the background. So the thunderstorm in the background just sort of enhances the effect that you get looking down the river with the storm actually receding upriver through the mountains. Thank you for visiting today. I hope you've enjoyed this little tour of the layout and how I built it and the construction techniques. hope you get some benefit out of some of the ideas. And just to let you know, I will be posting some more videos in the next little while, focusing on some of the structures that I built, as well as some of the rolling stock and the locomotives.